The night he returned, the world outside was drenched in rain. I stood at the station, my heart pounding with years of longing and unanswered prayers. His eyes found mine through the crowd. Familiar yet distant, warm yet hiding something. I thought love had returned, but instead, a secret had arrived. You're watching the Untold Love, where every story speaks from the heart. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. They say time heals everything. But what about the wounds that keep reopening every single day you wake up without the one you love? For me, waiting wasn't just an act, it became a way of living. I still remember the night he left. The air was heavy, as if the universe itself knew my world was about to shatter. We stood beneath the dim streetlight, shadows stretching long on the pavement. His voice trembled as he promised me, "I'll come back, I swear." Those words were carved into my soul like an unshakable prayer. I held on to them, even when the silence of his absence grew louder than any goodbye. The days turned into months, and months into years. Every festival, every birthday, every moment of joy felt incomplete without him. I would find myself looking at the door, half hoping he'd walk in with that crooked smile and messy hair I loved so much. People told me to move on, to stop holding on to a memory. But how do you let go of someone who felt like home? I filled my life with small distractions, work, books, even pretending to laugh at things that didn't matter. But deep inside, the waiting never stopped. Nights were the hardest. Lying awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining him under the same sky somewhere far away. I used to whisper his name into the darkness, as if the stars could carry it to him. There were days I doubted him, days I thought maybe he had forgotten me, found someone new, or chosen a life without me in it. But then, there were moments when a song, a scent, or even a place we once visited would remind me of him, and my faith would return, fragile but alive. Waiting became my quiet war. It broke me in pieces but also taught me strength. Love, after all, is not just about being together, it's about believing, even when the world tells you not to. And so, I waited. For years. For the day his promise would no longer be just words carried away by the wind. For the day his shadow would finally fall beside mine again. It happened on a day I least expected. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. When I heard a voice behind my voice I thought I had forgotten, but my heart recognized instantly. I turned, and there he was. After years of emptiness, the man I had been waiting for stood right in front of me. His eyes, once bright with mischief and warmth, now carried something else, something heavy, something unspoken. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as if my body wasn't sure if this was real or just another dream. I wanted to run to him, to hold him, to cry into his chest for all the years I had been alone. But something in his expression stopped me. He smiled, but it wasn't the same smile I had memorized in my heart. It was softer, weaker, like it was hiding more than it was showing. His voice broke the silence. "I told you I'd come back." Tears filled my eyes instantly. Every part of me wanted to believe those words, to believe that nothing had changed, that the promise was finally fulfilled. And yet, I could feel a distance in him, a shadow that separated us, no matter how close he stood. I asked him where he had been, what had kept him away all these years. His eyes darted away, his hands clenched into fists, and he said, "It's a long story. One I'll tell you soon." That answer should have satisfied me, but it didn't. Because in that moment, I realized something I had waited for years. But the man who returned was not the same one who had left me. He was carrying something inside, a weight I couldn't yet understand. Still, I welcomed him, with all the love I had buried deep within me. I told myself the details didn't matter, that he was here now, and that was enough. But in my heart, a whisper of doubt had already taken root. Something was different. Something was wrong. And, little did I know, the secret he carried would change everything I thought I knew about love, promises, and forever. The first few days after his return felt surreal. I found myself smiling at the simplest things, sharing a meal, hearing his footsteps in the house, even just knowing he was near. It felt like life had finally returned to me after years of emptiness. And yet, something was different. At night, I would wake up to find him sitting by the window, lost in thought. His face looked older, tired, as though he carried years of pain I could never touch. When I asked him what was wrong, he brushed it off with a forced smile. "Just memories," he would say. But his eyes told another story. He avoided certain questions: where exactly he had been, why he couldn't write, why he had suddenly come back now, after so long. Each time I pressed, his answers grew shorter, his walls higher. It was as if he wanted me close, but only close enough to keep the truth hidden. I began noticing the little things. A strange number flashing on his phone that he quickly dismissed. Letters tucked away in his bag that he never let me see. Nights when he left the house, saying he needed air, but returned with a look that spoke of battles I couldn't name. My heart wanted to ignore it, to hold on to the joy of his presence and forget the shadows that lingered behind him. But my mind whispered doubts. Had he truly returned for me? Or was he hiding something I wasn't ready to hear? One evening, as the rain poured outside, he held my hand tighter than ever before, almost as if he was afraid to let go. He whispered, "You mean everything to me." And though my heart swelled at the words, I couldn't ignore the tremor in his voice, the unspoken truth buried behind them. I had waited for years to have him back, but now, for the first time, I wondered had the man I loved really returned to me, or had he brought back only a part of himself, while the rest remained chained to a secret I was yet to discover. The cracks I had tried so hard to ignore began to widen. Every smile he gave me seemed to carry a shadow. Every touch felt like it was holding something back. I told myself I wouldn't press him, that when he was ready, he would share. But fate had other plans. One afternoon, while tidying up, I found a folded letter tucked inside his jacket pocket. My hands trembled as I held it, torn between respect for his privacy and the aching need for answers. The envelope was worn, the handwriting unfamiliar. Against my better judgment, I opened it. The words hit me like a storm. They weren't written to me. They were words of longing, words of love signed by someone else. For a moment, my world froze. My breath caught in my chest, and the room around me felt as though it was spinning. When he returned that evening, I couldn't hide my trembling hands or the tears in my eyes. I held out the letter, my voice breaking. "Who is she?" His silence was louder than any confession. He sat down, burying his face in his hands, and for the first time since he returned, I saw him completely break. His voice was barely above a whisper. "I never wanted you to find out this way." I felt my heart shatter into pieces I could never gather again. The man I had waited years for, the man I had built my hopes and dreams around, was carrying another love. Another story, hidden from me. He tried to explain, words tumbling out in fragments. Circumstances, mistakes, promises he couldn't keep. But no matter how he painted it, the truth was clear. I wasn't the only one who had lived in his heart. I wanted to scream, to demand why he came back, why he let me wait all those years in the dark. But instead, I stood in silence, drowning in the weight of betrayal and love all at once. The secret I had sensed all along was no longer hidden. It stood between us like an unbreakable wall. And now, I had to decide, was my love strong enough to endure this truth, or would this revelation mark the end of everything I had been waiting for? The silence after his confession felt heavier than any words could bear. My chest tightened, as though each breath was fighting its way through 1,000 knives. I looked at him, searching for the man I once knew, the man I had loved so fiercely, but all I saw was someone I no longer recognized. "Why?" I whispered, the single word carrying all the pain, anger, and disbelief I couldn't put into sentences. "Why didn't you tell me before? Why let me wait for years if your heart was somewhere else?" His eyes glistened, not with pride or excuses, but with regret. "Because I didn't know how to let you go," he admitted, voice cracking. "You were my anchor, my home. But when life pulled me away, I found comfort in someone else. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And now, I don't know how to undo it." My hands trembled as I clenched them into fists, tears streaming freely down my face. "Do you even realize what you did to me? I counted days, months, years waiting for you to return, believing in a love I thought was unshakable. And all that time, you were building another world, with someone else." He reached out, desperate, but I stepped back, the distance between us echoing louder than any scream. "I still love you," he said softly, as though those words could erase the wounds. "But my love is divided, torn, and I hate myself for it." I shook my head, the weight of disappointment crushing me. Love isn't something you divide. It's something you fight for, something you choose. And if you couldn't choose me when I wasn't here, then maybe you never truly loved me at all. The confrontation left us both shattered, him, drowning in guilt, and me, drowning in the wreckage of a love I thought was eternal. The truth was laid bare, raw and irreversible. And in that moment, I realized that no matter how much we tried, Things could never go back to the way they were. The man I had waited for wasn't the same man who had returned. And I wasn't the same woman who had once promised to wait forever. That night, I couldn't sleep. His confession kept echoing in my mind like a wound that refused to close. Every corner of my room, every shadow, every silence reminded me of him, of us. But this time, those memories didn't bring warmth. They burned, like fire against fragile skin. I had waited for him with the faith of someone who believed love could conquer all distances, all storms. I had told myself that one day, when he returned, everything would fall into place again. But reality was cruel. He had returned, yes, but with a secret that destroyed the very foundation of what I had been waiting for. The next morning, I met him at the cafe where we used to sit, for hours, planning our future. The same wooden chairs, the same soft music, the same air filled with nostalgia. Nothing felt the same. My hands wrapped around the coffee cup, but I didn't taste a single sip. He sat across from me, guilt written across his face, his eyes searching for forgiveness. "Say something," he pleaded, his voice breaking the silence. I finally looked at him, my voice steady though my heart was in ruins. "You took away my choice. If you had told me the truth back then, I would have known how to move on, how to heal. But instead, you kept me chained to a love that no longer existed." He lowered his head, unable to meet my gaze. "I thought I was protecting you. I thought one day I'd come back, and we could start again. But life, it got complicated." I swallowed hard, tears brimming but refusing to fall. "Love isn't complicated. It's simple, it's either whole or it's not. You broke it the moment you let someone else hold the part of you that was mine." For the first time, I saw the finality in his eyes. He knew what I was about to say before the words even left my lips. "I can't keep waiting," I whispered. "Not anymore. Not for someone who doesn't belong to me entirely." The breaking point had come, sharp and undeniable. And though it shattered me to let go, I knew it was the only way I could survive. Years later, I sometimes walk past that same cafe. The wooden chairs are still there, the music still floats through the air, but the memories have softened. They no longer stab like broken glass, they simply remind me of a chapter one once lived, of a love I once believed would last forever. He never came back into my life after that day. We went our separate ways to souls that had once been inseparable, now learning to breathe without each other. For a long time, I wondered if I had made the right decision, if perhaps love meant forgiving even the deepest wounds. But with time, I realized sometimes, letting go isn't weakness. Sometimes, it's the strongest act of love you can give yourself. I don't hate him. In fact, I wish him well. I hope he found peace in the life he chose, just as I eventually found mine. The truth is, the waiting shaped me, the heartbreak changed me, but it did not destroy me. Instead, it taught me that my worth was never defined by someone else's return. And so, when people ask me about my first love, I smile softly. I tell them, it was real, it was deep, and yes, it ended. But endings aren't always tragedies. Sometimes, they're the quiet beginnings of finding yourself again. Because in the end, I didn't lose him. I found me. Lesson: love is not about holding on at any cost. It's about knowing when to let go, and trusting that healing will bloom where heartbreak once lived. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If my words touched your heart, even for a moment, then I know sharing this journey was worth it. Love stories don't always end the way we dream, but each one leaves behind a lesson, a piece of who we become. On this channel, The Untold Love, I share stories that come straight from the heart. If you felt connected to this one, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing your voices, your feelings, your own untold stories. And don't go too far, the next story might just be the one that mirrors your own heart. Until then, remember, love is fragile, but so are we, and yet, somehow, we always find a way to heal.